What we want to do now is change some of the colors on the face of the actress, and then maybe change the expression altogether of her face. But first we'll start with color correction. Now, first of all, this is a high resolution image, because if I zoom over, that's the 100%, right? Of course, if you zoom more than 100%, you're going to start to see the pixelation, but otherwise it's a good image to work on because of the high resolution. Now let's say that you want to change the color of the eyes. Now here the eyes appear to be what? Here? This one? Okay. So the eyes appear very dark. So we're gonna first of all zoom over them. And we're gonna make a selection around the eyes. I'm zooming in, Control plus, Control minus. I did not increase the size of the image, I just zoomed in. Another thing you can do is click here and make a zoom like this. Now, how can I select the eye? It's best selected with the elliptical marquee tool in this case, because it creates these perfect circular selections. In this case, an oval selection, something like this. Now, I want to expand the selection a little bit because it's not reaching the outer limits of the eye bulb. So I'm going to choose select and modify and expand, let's say by, I don't know, 3 pixels. Yeah, okay, let's try. We're going to also feather out the selection because the selection so far is going to be very strong. I'm going to duplicate the layer, and let's call the layer eye correction. Alright, so this layer now is called eye correction. It's the same as the original layer. I right clicked and I chose duplicate layer. Alright, I need this eye also selected because I'm gonna have the two eyes change at the same time. So I can press plus shift and add the selection like this. Something like this. So now both eyes are selected. Don't do it at the same time. Look here. Now I need to, as I told you, to feather the selection. So I'm going to go to select and feather because that will smooth out the selection. Say by 4 pixels. So the selection will be smooth. Now if I want to see the feathering, I can add a layer mask here. Press Alt and click, and that would show me the feathering of the selection. So that's how the selection is. You see, when I feathered, it became blurry. If I didn't feather before, it would be a sharper selection. It's best to feather because you don't want to have a very sharp change in color from one to another. So again, Alt and click to go back here, and I can press Control and click back. I don't need, I can leave if I like the layer mask, or I can delete it. It's up to you. I'm going to leave it because I just want this to apply to the eye. Now, what can I do with this now to change the color? There are many ways. I can go, if I like, to image, adjustment, and hue saturation. Now here, you have to be in the image and not in the mask to be able to do that. So image, adjustment, and hue saturation. I can change the hue and zoom out. Now, I don't have to have the selection on, because it looks very strange with the selection on. Alright, so I repeat, image, adjustments, and hue saturation. I can change the hue. If I like, I can change the lightness if I wanted to make her really expressive. Yeah, now here on your screen she looks brighter than on my screen, so I'm gonna look at your screen to take the proper lightness. So this will brighten up or darken up the colors. But anyway, let's say that this is good. I'll press OK. So now her eyes are green, right? Control U again, change, and they become blue, and so forth. So the eyes are easy. Now if I want it to be more elaborate in this, what I can do is actually remove some parts, because here the mask is extending upwards. So I can go to my eraser tool and just erase the part that's extending downwards. Okay, just to make it perfect. Alright. So that's the eyes. Now, how can I change the color of the ellipse? Okay, we're gonna use another technique now. We also have to select, of course. So I right click on the background, duplicate layer, and I'll call it ellipse correction. How can I select the ellipse? It's best to select the ellipse with the lasso tool first of all. So I go like this. I'll just make a rough selection around the ellipse. It's not perfect. Why am I not using the magnetic lasso, for example? Because the colors of the lips and the skin are very close. So in this case, it's hard for me to use the magnetic lasso. So I use the lasso. Now, I need to correct this selection. How? I'm gonna click here to go to my edit and quick mask mode. What this will do is show you the selected pixels in normal color and the unselected pixels in red, like you see here. So now I can paint my selection. So I go to my brush tool. If I paint with black, I'm deselecting. If I paint with white, so here I'm flipping the two colors, I'm selecting. Right? The shortcut for this is X. So while I'm working, I press X to flip the two colors. So here I wanna first of all select a soft brush so that I get a blurrier selection. So if I press X, I would deselect these colors. So now I can precisely paint my selection with feathering built in because I'm using a soft brush. I remind you that I'm using the space bar to pan around. Okay, so here I press X to go up a little bit to soften up this part. Alright, maybe I'll go beyond so that I know exactly what I have, and then I'll fix it back. So something like this. Then I'll press X to switch between the colors. I undid because I went overboard. It's best to go by short strokes. So that's another way to select, which is very efficient actually. Okay, here I might have taken something. So X. Why are you talking, ya Muhammad? You should be looking. You should not be repeating this now. I'll give you the time to do it. Alright, so let's zoom out to see if we have a good selection of the mouth. What do you think? Yeah, because that will look bad actually whenever I change the color. So X. Alright, so let's say that that's a good selection. Of course, the more time you spend on it, the better. Maybe here, it's bad here. Now, of course, I need to deselect the teeth because I just need the mouth, right? Otherwise, the teeth will change color also. Okay, so I'll flip the colors and then I'll go here to deselect the teeth. You see, that way is very efficient in selecting whenever you have something very precise like this. I pressed X to flip the colors, so now I have black. Whenever you paint with black, you deselect. Whenever you paint with white, you select. So here, alright, so now we have a good selection for the ellipse. Alright, how do we get back to the normal mode now? We click back here, or we press Q. So now we see that we have the ellipse selected. What am I going to do with this? Again, I'm going to add a layer mask so that I just have this. I click on the image. Let's say that I want to intensify the red of the ellipse. I'm going to select red as a color, and with the brush I'm going to go to mode and choose color. What this will do, okay, it's too strong here. What this will do is keep the texture but change the color. Alright, but what I will do here is reduce the opacity a little bit so that it's not so strong. So you see that when you paint, you're just affecting this area because that's the selected area within the layer. So if you go down, nothing happens. Alright, it's probably too strong, so I'll choose a bright, darker color. Okay, now that I have this, what I can do is change the blending mode of this layer altogether. Let's see. So you see how the texture is still retained, how the highlight of the ellipse is still retained, and everything is retained. Yeah, I'm changing the blending mode to multiply. Yeah, I chose color when I paint with my brush. The mode is color. Alright, now I can change the fill to blend. So that's the original, and that's the new one. And now I can also choose hue saturation. So Control U, change the hue to get a different color altogether. Okay, that's a bit natural, the original color that I had. Alright, now to change between the original and the new one, to compare, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to my history. Look, I'm going to go to my history, and I'm going to click back on the original and then undo. So when I click back on the original image and then undo, I'm toggling between all the stuff that I did and the original image. So if I press FF tab, I can press Ctrl Z back and forth to check my work.